Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Offtime Gaming. My name is Haraset, and today I just want to do a little bit of a chat about some games in general, and kind of a continue on from the last episode I did release. What I did is I talked a bit about Guild Wars 2, and I asked you guys what you thought of the game and whether or not you were still playing. Now, the reason I did this is because of research and because of the effects of my own friends and own colleagues that I know that are playing the game that have suddenly stopped playing the game and the reasons behind it. And I want to see if more or less a lot more people are falling into this category. Now, I went through the forums and I was looking up this, and there's quite a lot of forum posts which, you know, has quite a bit of determining aspect on opinions and how they will affect your thought when it comes to games like this. Now, just quick recap in the background there, it's just World of Warcraft. I'm just running through some of the pet mono battles slash Pokemon gameplay they implemented. It's a bit of fun and just something to put in there for the time being, because this episode is not directly related. It's going to be more or less a chat or kind of a podcast in general about gaming and the effects and little thoughts and processes that I generally have after being a long time, especially being an off-time gamer, which is exactly what I want to do, and talk about the channel a bit and exactly what my goals are with it. So I'll kick off from where I left off in that episode, in that, you know, the feedback that I got was quite shocking and surprising to me, because there were so many of you out there, either in the forums responding or in the comments below in YouTube itself, telling me that you are actually still really enjoying the game and playing on, and, you know, leveling up. You love the world, you love the actual game itself, and, you know, this was great. This was some really good aspect to hear, because when I look up forums and other aspects and other different things and, you know, information about the game and how people are doing in general, I usually get all of this negative kind of vibe. Everyone's always found a reason to be bored, or they're upset over something. There's always something upsetting someone over some game, because that's just the way things are when it comes to games. It wouldn't be a decent game if it didn't have something being upset about it, you know. But I wanted to kind of talk about that as well, and how it kind of influences our thought processes. Because when I was looking up for inspiration, so to speak, on to find whether or not to continue with the game, I found all this negativity, and then it leads to this little, well, maybe it's not as good as I would like to think it is, but overall you guys have changed that mind pretty fast, so I am going to continue on with that. Definitely, because of that, because of the fact that, you know, the opinions have turned around and said, oh, hold on a minute, just because there are some naysayers out there doesn't actually mean this game is not going to be good. I have my own formal opinions on it, which I have kind of given across in the last episode as well, which made me think about it a little bit, whether or not some of them were right. And, you know, I got some feedback in regards to that, which was really, really good. A lot of people think that people are leaving the game to play Mists of Pandaria, which I am playing right now. But I'm not so sure. I'm putting this down to there's some mindset going around when it comes to games, and I'm finding it with a lot of people, and I want to know what you guys think of this yourselves in the future. Have you found yourself over the last year, maybe the last couple of years, switching games a lot? And, you know, this is probably going to be aimed a little bit more at the older generation of gamers. Because I sit in that category. Well, I wouldn't say I'm old. I will be pushing my 30s now in the next month. But in that regard, I'm a 20 years gamer, so to speak. I started gaming probably when I was about 7 or 8 years old, when I got my first console. And, you know, from then on, I have been gaming every day of my life since, for the last 20 years. On top of that, so, you know, I'm 29 now, and so we have 21 years of gaming, which has brought different aspects. And, you know, going back over the years and looking back at how I thought about these games and all what I've done, and how it seems more recently that my attitude has changed, and I want to figure out why, and I want to see if anyone else is in this boat as well. So in the last 3 years or so, I have found myself jumping games like crazy. Literally jumping games. I've gone from one game to the other. At most, a game has not sustained me for more than maybe 3 to 4 months, with the exception of some heavy MMOs such as Star Wars or no, it was really only Star Wars recently. World of Warcraft did sustain me for quite a while, but you know, I'm going back to the last 3 years, not before that. Before that, I was a hardcore WoW player, and then before that, I was a hardcore Final Fantasy player, and before that, I was a hardcore Ultimate Online player, and in between the time, I always had my games where I mixed it in, but the games kept me there for weeks and months on end, where I could play them for hours and hours a day without thought to what was going on in my life. Well, I suppose they were a bit of escapism, but you had that. And, you know, these days I find myself, time is of the essence a little bit more, especially when, you know, you have a full-time job, you're working, and there's a lot more things going on in your life, and, you know, you're trying to find time for the game, get back in, that gamer. And, you know, this is, again, one of these things that brought me up. I miss grabbing or being grabbed hold of in a game, just this general addiction level. It's like I can't get that anymore, and I don't know if it's me or if it's the games that are coming out these days that just don't have that level of addiction that draw you into the game and make you a fanatic of it, make you want to play it for months on end, and not think about anything else. And I'm kind of in that boat, and I want to know if anyone else is, and if it's just an age thing. Is it just that I'm just getting old? Seriously? So what I can do, I mean, alright, this comes down to the fact where I have turned around and created Offtimegaming. This was my goal, was to bring gaming to people who love to game in their off time. When you're finished work, school, college, all your studies, you want to sit down and game. Everything else, all your pressure is all on the side, and you want to jump in and get some gaming on. And that was my goal, just to bring some additional information to those games to help you enjoy it a little bit easier, and, you know, give it a bit of a laugh, because I like to focus a little bit. You probably notice all of my random videos are just general comical content of craziness in regards to the fun that you get out of gaming. And I love gaming for that aspect. I think it's the greatest media in the industry. It is nothing more entertaining to me than sitting down and enjoying a good computer game. So with that, I'm a bit, I'll try to go back a bit. So we have Guild Wars 2, which is the recent one that I have started, and I find myself that I am in the lonely boat at the moment again, because of the fact that I cannot keep up these days with the time requirement to meet what everyone else is doing. This is one of those scenarios. MMOs have become too hardcore. Not hardcore, too time demanding these days to actually do it, and they don't have the grip that's necessary. At least I couldn't feel it from Guild Wars or Star Wars, but I gave Star Wars as much time, more than most, believe me, a lot more than most, and I pushed it as hard as I could. But I still found myself that it did take me a lot longer. It took me about 2 months longer than the average hardcore, would you say, not even hardcore, just heavy gamer, to get up to max level 50, I believe it was at the time. And this was something because I found myself being pushed on this, get level up, and I'm like, I don't have the time, what can I do about this? I just level up so we can go do instances and raids and PvP together, but I have no time to do this. What can I do about this? And, you know, I find myself now in this scenario with Guild Wars 2. Everyone else has made level 80 by now, and here I am sitting at level 30 going, twiddling my thumbs, and everyone else has gone on, moved on to different games, and I'm like, so it's like that, is it? Really? So, you know, I'm more inclined to just jump back into another game, and I'm like, alright, well fine, I'll just go play, you know, Faster Than Light or something, because that game is fun, or some other game. And this actually brings me on to Steam. Annie was in this boat as well with Steam, where you have more games than you've actually played. I'm in this. I have games in my Steam that I have purchased during the Steam sale and have yet to install. I'm sitting here looking at, for example, Stalker series. I have the whole Stalker series I picked up for €4, and I've had it for 3-4 months now, never installed it. I have Saints Row the Third, I have never installed it or played it. I have Torchlight 2, I have never installed or played it. There are games and games that I have that I buy and go, oh my god, it's on sale, I can get this for like €5, and then it just sits there and I'm going, right, yeah, about that. I'll get around to it. And then by the time I get around to it, another sale is on and I want to play another game. So this is a little bit of another issue. And you know what, this is kind of like that. And I'm wondering, again, am I alone in this? Because I don't believe I am. I'd say there's quite a lot of people that are falling into this category as well. You know, you're just not enough time for the amount of games. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe this is the issue right now. It's the large variety, too much variety when it comes to games these days. Because if you go back 10 years ago, easily 10 years ago, you would have had maybe 10 or 20 top end games that everyone knew about and talked about, and that was it. These were your must have games, and you could dedicate so much time to those games that maybe it just seemed like you had more time, or that you spent more time on them. But the fact of the matter was, you probably spent the same amount of time as you do now, but there was nothing else available to distract you from it. Just a thought. And you know, I'm like that now. I will continue with the Guild Wars, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy it, but I want to kind of set an expectation here, I guess, as it is off time gaming, in that I will play it from now and then in my off time, but there's only so much as well I can cover in Guild Wars 2. I wanted to make the episodes in Guild Wars 2, yes, fun, but more helpful tips, like I've done in nearly every episode I've thrown out there, except for reviews. If they're not comedy or fun, they're just helpful tips, something people can get use out of, or otherwise. But this episode is podcast chat, and I'm just blabbering on about lots of different thought processes. So I'll be curious to hear what you think about this episode too, and whether or not I can continue that while I just play Pokemon in the background for God knows how many minutes. But it could be fun, because I said so. Something like that. And where was I? Yes, gaming. And you know, I used to chat about all of these games. I even had podcasts up and stuff like that, and I went on about that in loads of different types of games that are coming up. And I'm more or less each time I'm just requesting feedback upon feedback, because I want to hear what you guys think. And many of these, I know from some of the demographics that I have, a lot of you guys that actually do watch my videos are in the same age, around the same age group as myself. There are a couple of you out there that are a little bit younger, but that's all well and fine. But it's the ones that are sitting around, that have jobs, that have, you know, wives, even families, that would be still gaming and trying to enjoy the games. And this is the information I want to get from you guys. If any of you out there that are in that category, tell me what it is you would be looking for in videos that would help you, because some of you out there that have this probably wouldn't have the same level of experience I have when it comes to games. I mean, God, the amount of time I have poured into computer games over my entire life is shocking to put in a number, quite literally. In fact, I tell you what I will do here now. I will log into World of... I'll just change my character there, one moment. Okay, here. So what I have here is like Mr. Angelus, which was my original World of Warcraft character, and what I'm going to do there is just do a /played. Actually, that is not /played. /played, and just to see how many... Total time, 255 days. Actually, that is nerfed. What? Or is that at this level? I don't know. It was actually... Well, maybe it is 255 days. Might not seem much as it was. I thought it was 365. But, you know, this was when it came out. I haven't played it since Cataclysm released. Well, as you can see, I got up to level 82 with the character and then kind of stopped. But I'm sure there's some feats of strength in there where I can go through. Brewfest Mount. Is there anything that goes back? These are all 2008, 2010, 2008. Because I don't see anything prior to that for the feats of strength. Especially when I had, you know, like legendary weapons and stuff like this one, Hand of Sulfuras, that I would have gotten from spending a week on the game. And I think I still have it here somewhere, but my frames is lagging quite a bit, so I'm gonna switch back over there to our thing. Where is my Sulfuras? I even have all of the Lawbringers that. So you can't actually get this anymore. How did that look? How did that look? That was awesome at the time when I did that. Yeah. Big ass sword. But I'm pretty sure there it is. There we go. Hand is to Furious. There, blah blah blah. And I spent way too much time. I was one of those players. You know, ages. But yeah, I'll stop that. And you know, it just gives you an idea that I had this much time. I had a lot more time back then, in general, to play these games, because the work I did was just like that. I actually worked during the time of WoW. I was working in phone support, dealing with computer repairs and service, and that is a horrible job, by the way. Terrible. I would not recommend. If you work in phone support, you either have to have a certain level of empathy or insanity to progress it, but other than that, you have this nice little hold button when you're telling someone how to turn on and turn off the computer, that you can scream at them in the background, which is quite helpful. Yeah, about that. But I'm gonna call it this episode. I as much as I wanted to push it on and just have a little bit of a chat and jabber on, I'm tired and it's gotten really late. It's like 3:30 in the morning, and I probably should sleep because I have work. Well, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. But I will have work the next day. But I would love to hear your feedback in general, guys. I really want to know what yous are doing when it comes to games. Are you jumping around games quite a lot? Or do you find that you can still focus and stick to a game for a long amount of time, like an MMO, and dedicate quite a bit of time to it? Because it makes a bit of a difference when I hear about these things and whether or not I should be just trying a bit harder, or if I'm just getting too old and that I need to start sticking to single player games because they are more time friendly, in that I do not feel a little bit pressured to get level up to show you stuff about the classes and awesome things like that. But yeah, that is it. That is it for this episode, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.